Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farba. As global attention turns once again to Ukraine, a message from Kyiv suggests the world may be approaching a pivotal moment in the war. With U.S. pressure mounting and talks of a potential ceasefire gaining traction, the path to peace, though uncertain, may be closer than it has in months. Joining us now to unpack these developments is Ukrainian Member of Parliament from the European Solidarity Party, Oleksiy Goncharenko. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about this very interesting remark from one of the senior advisors, Andriy Yermak, saying that this week could mark an end to the war. Is this, what's behind this? Is this really truly a momentous occasion here? Is this something else? Walk us through why he's saying this and how realistic is that achievement?
First of all, I don't have all the information that he has. He is the chief of staff of President Zelensky. What I do know is that there are consultations between Ukrainian and Russian side happening also through Turkey. Also, there are rumors that President Erdogan can visit Kyiv in the nearest days. So all of this point to a possibility, some possibility which is on the table. Also, we know that the deadline, which was established by President Trump, he said August 8th. So this deadline is approaching in several days. And he said that after this, there will be secondary sanctions against countries buying Russian oil, and there will be more pressure on Russia. Also, we know that his envoy, special envoy, Stephen Witkoff, he is invited to Moscow and maybe will visit Moscow this week. So, yeah, we clearly see that there is a big diplomatic move right now on different tracks. It's connected with change of President Trump's attitude to the war. He speaks more about how many people are dying and that he wants to end this war, and that he started already to use, for example, tariffs as a leverage on India, one of the top countries which are buying Russian oil. So the biggest buyers of Russian oil in the world are China and then India. Yeah, and that's why I think that we really have some window of opportunity right now. The biggest our problem is President Putin, or Russian tyrant Putin, because he doesn't want to end the war.
But Oleksiy, you've been in this terrible conflict for quite some time, and diplomatic efforts have been going on before. Do you sense that this is any different this time around, this week?
It's hard to say, but I can't say that there were diplomatic efforts. Real diplomatic efforts started only this year, in February, with the attempt of President Trump to establish a ceasefire, which was broken by Putin. At that time, Trump was, I don't know why, but he was sure that he will persuade Putin and that Putin also wants to end the war if he will be given something and so on. But Putin showed that he has no goodwill. He doesn't want to end the war. And from that time, there was frustration of President Trump growing, and also a number of victims growing every day. Now we have kind of the second attempt. So it's just a second big attempt happening right now, when Trump already said, no, I do not count on the goodwill of Putin, but now I count on smartness and intelligence of Russian partners, India and China. So I want them to explain to Putin that it will not go on like Putin says. So there will be more sanctions against these countries. They will not trade with the United States. They will suffer from this. So they will need to choose either to buy Russian oil or to have an American market. So this is another step. And it is much more real, because from the beginning it was clear that there is no goodwill in Putin. From Putin we would not find it. But real pressure on him, also from his main partners, which are trade partners, which are China and India, that really can change the situation. So I think this is quite a unique situation, a new situation. And I have some optimism. I can't say that I'm very optimistic, but I have some optimism.
All right. Also, at the same time, I'm looking at these different pressures. You're saying it was, on the one hand, very much economic pressure, which Trump is pushing right now. As you said, also addressing India and China at the same time. I just want to get also your sense, and we've been talking about this as well the last sort of couple of days, is this whole idea of these threats from Medvedev and then Trump also dispatching these nuclear submarines, calling it this appropriate regions. That seems to have rattled the Kremlin a little bit. If we're listening to Peskov right now, he's saying that Russia is very interested in nuclear non-proliferation, which seems a bit different what the actions that they've been taken before. Do you think this has also added, let's say, pressure on the Kremlin, on Putin, to maybe change his tune?
In general, absolutely. That also works in general. Russia, we repeated it so many times, but it is true. Russia understands only one language, language of strength, language of force. And President Trump, he tried at the beginning to say, Putin is my friend, I love Russia, Russian people, and all this stuff. And that only emboldened Putin. Again, we were saying it from the beginning, but Trump tried. When he realized with whom he deal with, then he changed his attitude. And now he's saying, okay, Medvedev is saying something, I am sending nuclear submarines because my army is stronger than yours. You are trying to bully me. That will not work. You are not reacting on my proposition of ending the war. Okay, you will suffer economically. I would add to this, one thing is still missing in this puzzle. So Trump is doing absolutely right thing right now, except one thing. To end this pressure, he also needs to send more weapons to Ukraine. If he would send now a lot of weapons to Ukraine, including long-range missiles, and with the help of these weapons, Ukraine would show to Russia how severely it can be damaged, that would be the last piece in the puzzle. And after this, I am sure for 100% Putin will be at the negotiation table, real negotiation table, and we will have end of these hostilities at least, this freezing of the war. That is something missing. That's why when I'm saying I am optimistic, but I am not saying I'm 100% optimistic. But in any way, we're moving now finally in the right direction.
Cautious optimism, Oleksiy. At the same time, I want to ask you, you're talking about more weapons, also military, proving that military mettle that Ukraine has at the moment. I want to ask you about these recent strikes as well, the drone strikes, because, I mean, you know also the whole area there around Odessa, looking at the Black Sea region, these Su-24s and Su-30s that were destroyed by Ukrainian drones. How significant of an impact? And maybe is this symbolic? I mean, obviously there will be an impact on operations, but tell us a little bit about what that means for Ukraine's defense and also the ability of Ukraine to strike closer into key areas of Russia.
That is important. First of all, this is a unique and amazing operation. Once again, Ukraine reached Russian strategic airfields in the way which never before in the human history did. So definitely, first there are direct results. We're speaking probably about 5 fighter jets all destroyed or severely damaged, which is serious in any way. But maybe even more important is that it makes Russian military infrastructure in occupied Crimea very vulnerable. And Crimea is super important for Putin from a military point of view. So again, that can be kind of a small stone, which also will help us to go to real negotiations and to have a ceasefire.
I also want to come back to Yermak for a moment and what he said also about potential summit, if that's possible between Putin and Zelensky. I know he said that Ukraine is ready right now. The Russians seem to be stalling. So where's the reality in this, and what would it take for such a summit really to take place if that were to happen anytime soon?
There is one obstacle to peace today. His name is Vladimir Putin, and one country, this is Russian Federation. So we already spoke with you that the only thing which they understand is suffering. So if they will see that economically they're losing even more, they lost a lot economically, but if they will see that they're losing even more, at the same time, they will see that they're not really advancing in Ukraine on the battlefield. Because you remember Putin spoke so much about the summer offensive, but where are the results of this Russian summer offensive? Summer soon will finish. Where are the big results? What is serious taken by Russian army? Yes, they destroyed and took several villages, again several hundred square kilometers, and but it's not the breakthrough or strategic success which Russia was looking for this summer campaign. So this together, so more pressure on Russian economy, and at the same time less military results, the best thing, no military results, that can change Russian behavior.
Just as we close, really briefly, if that meeting were to go ahead, if Putin walks into a room with Zelensky, what would be those three immovable conditions on the Ukrainian side of Zelensky walking into that room just at the end?
I think we have just a clear red lines. We will never recognize our occupied territories to be Russian, even if they will continue to be occupied for some time. Second, Ukrainian sovereignty can be limited. It's our choices where to move, what alliances to join, and what army to have. I think this is the main red lines that we have. Everything else should be discussed at negotiation table.
All right, and we'll see if that negotiating table does actually become a reality this week. We'll see. That's what we'll keep hoping. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Oleksiy Goncharenko, appreciate your time. And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks right here on TVP World. Much more coming up, so stay tuned. Goodbye.